coach Otto Addo will not be in charge of the Black Stars of Ghana when they take to the field at the 2026 World Cup. 72 days. That's the countdown clock ticking in the ears of most Ghanaians as the countdown begins towards the World Cup 2026. For one man, though, the journey is over. Coach Otto Addo will not be in charge of the Black Stars of Ghana when they take to the field at the 2026 World Cup. After a 5-1 annihilation at the hands of Austria, followed by somewhat of a redemptive 2-1 loss to Germany, the Ghana Football Association and its paymasters, the Ministry of Sports, decided to pull the trigger. We've seen this movie before. During Ghana's ill-fated participation in the AFCON competition in La Côte d'Ivoire, after Ghana's exit, there were the usual late-night meetings, after which the FA announced the parting of ways with Chris Hughton. Well, this time it is the turn of Coach Otto Addo. And this firing was done in the most ruthless and brutal way possible. Germany is where Otto Addo was born, and so the return to play against the German national team was seen somewhat as a homecoming for him, with his family and friends having traveled all the way from Hamburg to be around him. Indeed, they were waiting for him on the ground floor of the hotel when the trigger was pulled by the Ghana Football Association, effectively ending his two-stint association with a team that he had laced the boots for, the Black Stars of Ghana. So, is this an admission by the FA that perhaps they sunk into a sunk cost fallacy and should have gotten off this train much earlier than the 70+ days that we are left now to ponder? On VAR today, we break down the data behind the downfall of Coach Otto Addo, the utensil and food philosophy that failed to materialize, and the Ghana Football Association's frantic search for a savior to carry the Black Stars into the 2026 World Cup. Is it too late? Or is this reset actually exactly what the Black Stars and Ghana football needed ahead of World Cup 2026? To understand the downfall of Otto Addo and to understand why the Ghana Football Association and indeed the people who finance the Black Stars, the ministry, were left with no other choice but to sack Otto Addo, let's look at the cold, hard facts surrounding Otto Addo's second stint as Black Stars coach. 22 matches, 8 wins, 5 draws, 9 losses, a win ratio of somewhere around 35%. For a coach who had the talent of Mohamed Kudus, Antoine Semenyo, Fatah Ishaku, Thomas Tepati, and a few other ones, this is an indictment on his second period as coach of the Black Stars. The XG, which is the expected goals, tells a deeper story of tactical impotence, or perhaps I should say tactical confusion in the mind of Otto Addo. In the last 4 friendlies that Ghana played, they were all losses. Ghana's average non-penalty XG was 0.82, while we surrounded an XG, unexpected goals against, incredibly, of 2.45. Now, we aren't just talking about losing. We were being dominated by the teams that we played. And this was no different over the 2 friendly matches that Ghana played against Austria and Germany with an aggregate scoreline of 2-7. Now, how anybody would be comfortable with that beats my mind. Personally, I always felt Otto Addo was focusing on the end game without appreciating just how much the process of getting to that end game, which is an appearance of the World Cup, meant to Ghanaians. And in terms of this XG and XGA, it became totally incompatible with the aspirations of Ghanaians to play at the World Cup and not just to manage to survive in games, but to try and win games and make it to the knockout stages of the World Cup. Now let's reflect on a key moment that eventually undid Otto Addo as coach of the Black Stars. Top of that list will be the AFCON failure, and it was a major red flag that perhaps the Ghana Football Association should have acted on. Now, granted, Ghana had a poor AFCON participation in the last few years. First round exit, but not qualifying at all for the first time since the 2004 tournament in Tunisia was a major nadir and a low point for the Black Stars of Ghana. It was a first crack in the foundation, but for many reasons, the FA did not take heed. Having a squad of this caliber and not being able to be in the continental conversation was a major defining point of Otto Addo's Black Stars career, at least the second stint. Added to that was the fact that at the beginning of the year, most of the African countries that will be participating in the World Cup had the AFCON as a basis to test their squads and also measure just where they were in their journey. Ultimately, Ghana did not have that luxury. Now, when the international window came, there were many who were crying to know and identify just how Otto Addo wanted to play the football. Again, Otto Addo kept his sights on the participation of the tournament, but I would say did not appreciate the sensitivities around people's attachment to the Black Stars. And in addressing his various press conferences, he didn't pay much heed to the needs and interests of the biggest stakeholders in Ghana football. In terms of stakeholders, it doesn't get any bigger than the fans of the Black Stars. By the time Otto Addo was let go, he was perhaps the most unpopular Black Stars coach in recent history. The mob and the crowd are not always rational, but on this occasion, there seemed to be a national unanimity around the position of Otto Addo. This was not helped by his penultimate media conference, which he gave the allegory of the fufu soup and rice eating illustrations for how he plays his football, essentially saying that his football was reactive and he tended to build his strategy around how he expected other teams to play. In essence, what he said was that he likes to eat his fufu with his fingers, he likes to drink his soup with his spoon, and he likes to eat rice with his fork. Essentially, depending on how another team plays, that was how he was going to set up his team. He tried to explain his tactical fluidity using this allegory, but this fell flat because on the pitch, it looked like we were trying to eat soup with fork. And the lack of consistency over the matches that we played and the lack of a clear pattern of play or a plan, at least, that could be sold to Ghanaians meant that Otto Addo's position became untenable at the end of the day. But ultimately, you would say that the stake that was driven into the heart of Ghanaian football fans and indeed the people who employ Otto Addo, and the ultimate act that sealed his position was the match against Austria and Ghana's capitulation to a 5-1. I am convinced that they went into the game not entirely respecting the Austrians or expecting that the Austrians could do what they did to the Ghana team. Conceding 3 goals in 12 minutes in Vienna proved that the technical bench was just simply out of its depth and had lost control. This was not held by the coach then subsequently in his press conference saying that he actually didn't think the team played that badly. 5-1 is a bad look and nothing you can say could in any way justify a 5-1 loss to a team like Austria. So ultimately, Otto Addo's style of communication, Otto Addo's way of relating to the needs of the football fans, and more importantly, the results on the field of play proved just too much for football fans and the Ghana Football Association. And now he leaves. Coach Otto Addo was a decent bloke, and I'm one of those who felt that perhaps he should have been given the opportunity to go into the World Cup. But at the end of the day, the results and the statistics don't lie. And it proved to be an untenable position to maintain for the football fans, indeed for the Black Stars. And so Otto Addo would walk out of the doors. In the next episodes of VAR, we'll look at the other stakeholders and their role in this whole capitulation, because we cannot hang the poor performances simply around the necks of Otto Addo and get away with it. Otto Addo was a compromise candidate. He didn't even meet up to the standards established by the Ghana Football Association. We are a country that are yet to admit that although we want the world-class coaches and the best coaches around, we simply do not have the money to pay for these coaches to be in the Black Stars. And so once we agreed that Otto Addo was going to coach the Black Stars, it was important to agree what the clear KPIs were. And if Otto Addo was failing to hit these KPIs, then perhaps his sacking should have been much more earlier in the campaign and should not have been left to 72 days before the commencement of the World Cup. So now, here comes the big task of selecting the next manager of the Black Stars. Well, Otto Addo was actually a nice bloke, and I sincerely wish him the very best of luck in his next endeavor. And I really hope that the experiences of coaching the Black Stars would have served Otto Addo well in his next endeavors, whether they are at club football or he gets another opportunity to coach an African national team. As I wrap up this episode of VAR, I will leave you with the eternal words of Coach Otto Addo. When I eat fufu, I use my hands. When I drink soup, I use soup. When I eat rice, I use fork. My tactics are no different. They must match the opponent. This is VAR. My name is Sammy Bartels. We'll see you for the next episode.